What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Not Your Mommy. I am Carly.
And this is Lisa.
And today we have a special guest. Go ahead.
My name is Gabby.
What's up, Gabby?
Hi, Gabby.
Okay, so I am a therapist, and I've been in the clinical therapist field for 2 years.
Nice. Wait, can
Awesome.
can we talk about really quickly how a therapist slid into Carly's DMs after listening to our podcast?
I thought I was going to get a bunch of guys.
And we got
And I
someone
got a
saying, you need
therapist.
help.
I was like, okay, well, this is a great opportunity for us to have someone on the show.
Yeah.
Because the first sentence I think that you told me was like, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed here. Like one being all of you need help.
Yeah. But also saying like everyone could benefit from therapy.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
sure.
So we brought Gabby on because we have a bunch of questions.
we have so many
Um,
questions.
I think Gabby even has some questions for us.
You told us that you kind of wanted to play a little bit of a game with us to maybe get to know better.
Yes, I want to get to know you guys a little better. So we're going to do a little trend.
I'm
Okay.
scared.
Okay,
scared.
so we're going to play Put a Finger Down. And
Okay.
it's going to be, it's not going to be like 10 fingers. It's going to be 5 fingers.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
be quick.
that's safe.
Okay.
I feel comfortable with
I
that.
have 5 fingers.
Can we like close our eyes because I kind of want to be surprised when I open them.
that's a rule. Close your eyes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so close your eyes, and
Oh,
then we're going to
God.
open them, and then I guess you guys can look at each other and see the
Then we can
toxic
stare at
vibes.
each other.
The level of fucked up that we are.
Yeah. Like, oh, twinsies.
Okay,
Oh, God.
so close your eyes, take a deep breath. This is a meditation, low key. Okay, so number one, put a finger down if you or your partner have ever broke or tore anything you've given them or they've given to you.
I feel personally attacked already.
Okay, put a finger down if either party has made multiple accounts to stalk one another's social media. Put a finger down if your family and your friends were disrespected by this person, or vice versa, if you've disrespected their family or friends.
This is not a good look.
Put a finger down if you or your partner have used insults, put downs, and name calling to get you to respond or to get your partner to respond. Okay.
I don't think I'm allowed to use this finger.
Wait, I opened my eyes by accident. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
Oh, God, Lisa.
And the last one is put a finger down if you or your partner have ever cheated.
Oh,
Not current. It doesn't have to be currently. It's like, you know.
Oh, okay, wait. Actually, I don't know.
It's yes or no.
It's yes or no. Based on whatever
Lisa's
was
like, it was
considered
only the
cheating.
tip.
Whatever was considered cheating in that relationship.
Wait,
if
do you guys
did
have
it.
your eyes open yet?
No, but I'm opening my eyes.
My eyes have been open. I'm not playing.
Oh my God, okay.
Wait, okay, my eyes are open now at this point.
Okay. So I won, you guys. Like if this
Okay.
was a competition.
Lisa won.
Winner.
You get the cookie.
Yay.
I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed.
Okay, because
I'm a different person now.
so, okay, we clarified that episode 1. I think people forget that a lot of stories that we tell are from the past.
Yeah.
But I will say with the cheating thing, I always tell Carly, I'm like,
You're
maybe
not a different person?
no, I'm saying
Oh.
maybe I was cheated on. I just had no clue, to be completely honest. But all the other ones 100% happened multiple times with every relationship.
Okay.
Like you've been cheated on or you've cheated on them.
No, I'm talking about all the other fingers that we put down.
Yeah, all the
those
other ones.
happened. for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
definitely guilty of some of those too. So
Yeah.
I just didn't play because
You're
I was
therapizing
like,
us.
I'm
Yeah.
I don't know
therapizing
if-
you guys.
I don't know if that's a word, but we're using it.
I
today.
use it all the time. I'm a
Therapizer.
therapizer.
The rule is if you use it with confidence, any kind of word, then it counts.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So then we played that game, and that was really terrible. But okay, I think one of the bigger questions Lisa and I have, and why we were super excited to have you on the show, is why?
Are we like this?
Why are we the problem? Is it me?
Am I the villain?
Am I the villain? Yeah. So
like-
why does this happen? Because I think that that's my biggest curiosity is sometimes you can be pushed there, and sometimes you can push other people there.
Yeah. So it is a cocktail of things, you know, and it could range from mental illness. It could range from childhood trauma, attachment styles. There's just a lot that goes into it.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a mix.
It's a mix.
Usually it's never, I don't think it's ever just one thing. I think it's a mix of things always. There's always like,
What are attachment styles? What is that? I mean, I kind of feel like I know what the other things you said are, but I don't really know what that means.
so attachment styles are pretty much, it starts with your anxious, avoidant, disorganized, and secure attachment styles. And they are pretty much how your caregiver attaches to you when you're a child.
So you talk about mental illness. You touched that, and you said that mental illness can be something that is, I guess, a huge part of why we do the things that we just talked about doing. And I think that there's a lot of people who might be unaware of having a mental illness, period. So what are some good key factors, or like even just advice, or I don't know, like any type of something that we could speak about on that subject?
So for mental illness, it's a touchy subject because there is a stigma of, oh, if you have bipolar or borderline, you're crazy. And realistically, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
Anyone can have bipolar or borderline personality disorder and be able to function normally. Even
Yeah.
schizophrenia, those things that become like more intense or are known to be more intense. But mental illness does play a huge factor because we all have a little bit of mental health issues, right? Whether it's anxiety or depression, sometimes it's more intense, like bipolar disorder. And really, like, we start finding out about these things in our 20s. That's like the time where
we start dating and falling in love, and then
it's the prime time for when we're actually dating and being in these relationships, situationships, marriages, whatever it is. Like, people getting married now and they're finding out like, oh shit, I'm schizophrenic, like, or I'm hearing shit, you know?
Crazy to me.
That's so
Isn't
wild.
that crazy?
But it's also, I mean, I think we've experienced it in relationships. Like, circling back to that, I'm pretty sure some of the people that I've dated have some type of mental illness that they never addressed, and it's not their fault. They never knew. They didn't grow up going to therapy or addressing these issues, and then it affected them later on in relationships, not just with me, I think with work, with everything. But it's interesting, people not even being aware that they have that, and then it coming up much later in their lives.
Right. Because I do think it's cool to like have, not cool, but like I think
it's a fad. It's a little bit of a fad.
It's a little bit of a fad. Yeah. Like, oh, I have anxiety, I have ADHD, I have ADD. And I think a part of that comes from just scrolling on TikTok and somebody being like, these are the traits that I have, and I have, it means I have ADHD, and me thinking to myself, like, wait a second, I think I have ADHD.
It's kind of like going on WebMD.
Right.
And
like
have a headache, and you're like, oh, I have a brain tumor because I've had a migraine.
Between WebMD and Grey's Anatomy,
that's it.
Grey's Anatomy too.
Constantly dying of a brain tumor.
I've had like 9 deaths.
I'm a cat. I'm a cat
pushing
now,
on
guys.
my frontal lobe, and I'm gonna go blind. That's literally what I've learned from Grey's Anatomy.
But yeah, so because when you talk about that age group, that's also the age where I don't know anyone in therapy. It either gets too far in life where your life is falling apart, and then you're like, maybe I need therapy, and it's almost like way overdue by that point.
I feel like people start to get therapy when you're falling apart.
Always.
Like, honestly,
always.
I mean, I do it too. I have a therapist. I'm a therapist who has a therapist, and every therapist will tell you that if you're a therapist, you need a therapist. Because you need someone unbiased that is going to give you help, that's going to tell you, hey,
But I love that. I think that's so healthy. I think what is cool and positive coming out of, this being a fad maybe lately is people are starting to become more self-aware that they might be the problem. I've spoken about this with Carly in the past, that what I've realized is, yes, I had a lot of failed relationships and a lot of really toxic situations that I have been in, but I always blamed everyone else. And when I started going to therapy and looking in, I realized, oh, I mean, am I the villain? Like how we always say. And it's not 100% one person's fault. I think it takes 2 people to make something crazy, but I never was self-aware enough to understand. And I think now with social media and people talking about things so openly, people are becoming more aware. Like, oh, I set fire to that relationship because of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes social media can be great, and it can also be very misleading, right?
Okay.
So that's another thing. So going to a therapist, and not like, people use the tarot card readings on TikTok as like I mean, I'm guilty. I've read my tarot cards on TikTok, but that's not realistic. So having a therapist is important. And I did want to share a statistic because this is kind of interesting. So 60% of depressed men actually seek help for therapy, and then 72% and up women actually go to therapy. So you see that, and like circling back around into relationships.
Yeah.
You see that men have more pressure. Like, you don't really go on a first day and be like, so yeah, I'm in therapy. Like, we talk, like, as soon as we hear that a man is in therapy, it's kind of a red flag. We're like, whoa, you're in therapy? But it's more normalized for women to go to therapy because we're more emotional, and men are society and the culture, especially in Miami with all the Hispanics that we have in Miami.
Yeah.
And I hate to stereotype Hispanics, but realistically, this is how it is. They really just have less of, I guess, a willing to go to therapy.
I think it's frowned upon. I think culturally, as someone who is Hispanic, therapy is not a thing. And in the Caribbean too, it's just, you don't go to therapy, you suppress what you feel, and you toughen up. That's kind of how it is. And I think that's how men in society are taught. I went on a whole Instagram rant about this recently, but that's how the pressure that men feel in society, they can't express it. But I will say, Carly and I, a big tip that we want to give to all of you guys is, if he tells you he's in therapy,
that's awesome.
Date that motherfucker.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Date him.
Because I think that,
oh my God.
I think that besides a man, any woman, anybody watching this, I think that the whole point around it is to kind of take a second to talk about that. Yes, there are TikTok videos that are telling you might be ADHD. Please get a therapist and check out and look into these, you know, question marks that you have, because it could be something more serious. It could be something where maybe you just drink too much caffeine, but we'll never know that. And we'll never know that.
We lay off the Adderall that it isn't prescribed to you.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's what I was going to say, is to look inward and actually be the bigger person to say, I think I might need help. And you can get help in a relationship. You can get help out of a relationship. This is something that you can do by
While
yourself.
you're dating.
You can get couples therapy if you need it.
Yeah.
If your mental health, I mean, you could do individual therapy, and then at your discretion, invite your significant other and just tell your therapist, hey, you know, I want my significant other to come to our session because I want to focus that session on our relationship and how my mental health. And really, guys, you don't have to have a mental illness to go to therapy.
That's the
like,
stigma,
let's
though.
just, that's the stigma.
Yeah.
Oh, if I go to therapy, then I'm crazy, or I don't need therapy, or I don't, like, featuring, like, going back to the first episode, how he was like, that's actually what caught my attention in the first episode, where he was like, I don't go to therapy, I get tattoos.
You're like,
I was like, red flag, like, but not to like put him on blast or make him uncomfortable, but a lot of people say, well, I don't need therapy, I just go to the gym. I don't need therapy, I just talk to my friends. Hello, your friends cannot be carrying all your baggage. Sorry, I'm a friend and I'm not carrying all your baggage. Sorry.
Well, and I think in that process, when you're speaking to your friends, or you're speaking to even a family member that you trust, they're not going to be unbiased when they give you the opinion.
And it's not out of anything of a negative place. It's because they love you.
It's more coming from a protective standpoint.
Yeah.
If you want a truly unbiased opinion about things, you have to have an outsider's perspective, because also the same way that Gabby would talk to me in a session probably is not the same way that I would like receive information if I were talking to my mom.
No way.
Because it's just how people work, you know? I'm not going to listen to my mom because she always says that I'm wrong for doing this. But if somebody that's an outsider says that, it's totally different. You know?
100%. And I think what you were saying about, you know, you can date, you can be in a relationship, you can be alone. All these moments in your life, you can see therapy, you can get therapy. And I think if you do that, then you won't be in a lot of the situations that you, or at least we have put ourselves in the past. I think that if I was seeing a therapist, you know, in some of the worst relationships that I've been in, I think I would have discovered in myself what's wrong. A big thing for me was, I think, self-worth. I wasn't valuing and respecting myself, and I would have noticed that and then looked at my relationship entirely different. But because I didn't go to therapy while in these relationships, I couldn't even identify that.
And that's a big point too. It's like I said, you don't have to have a mental illness to go to therapy. There is, you know, lack of self-worth, insecurities.
Does the mic just come for you?
Yeah. Do you think that therapy can do that for someone? Give them a better, how would you?
We're beefing with the mics today.
Do you think that therapy can do that for someone, give them a stronger sense of self-worth? How would therapy be able to provide that for someone?
That's a really good question. And I always tell my clients this. I tell my clients, I tell my friends, I tell my family, you need to do your work. You need to do your part. You know, there's a lot of sayings where it's like, if you don't do the work yourself, you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
So let's say let's just say we're talking, this is a very dramatic example, but an addict, you're going to continue to use, right? And when we talk about an addict, it could be an addiction to this toxic relationship, right? You need to know, okay, if I don't do the work in leaving, or if I don't do the work in working on myself, then how am I going to get better?
Yeah.
Right? Just like an alcoholic, an addict, a drug addict, anything, food addict. If I don't do the work, I'm not going to get better. Therapists, which is actually, this is very stigmatized for therapists, that we give advice. We don't give advice. Like, we're actually, the number one rule that you learn in school is we're not advice givers.
Yeah.
We are just, we're paving the sidewalk or the path. I don't know. We're paving the sidewalk.
Wherever
we're paving.
You want to walk on the street, and the sidewalk.
The grass, like sand, whatever. Like,
dude, Gabby keeps beefing with the mic. If you're not watching and just listening, she just fights. She's throwing hands.
I use my hands a lot. So we pave the way for you. We're not here to be like, break up with him.
That's really important.
So funny. That's so funny she mentions that, because I have just started, I've been going to therapy for a little bit now.
Yay, cue the
So I've been going to therapy for a little while now, and then I actually was telling myself I hate my therapist because I'm like, this bitch doesn't tell me what to do. Like, what the fuck are you?
Carly literally called me and bitched about this. I don't think you remember.
I was like, she just doesn't tell me anything.
She's like, I think I'm gonna switch my therapist. She doesn't tell me shit.
She doesn't tell me anything, and it frustrates the fuck out of me because I'm here like, do I slash the tires or not, lady? Like, what do you
tell me what to do?
Or no?
She's just like, what does your heart tell you? I'm like, slash the fucking tires.
So I'm gonna slash them.
It's gotta slash. She's like, Carly, I don't know if that's a great idea. I was like, well, it's done.
Then tell me no.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's funny because you telling me that reminds me, like, it's not. It's more her job to dig inside me and see what my natural reaction is to that response, and then dissect that or help me understand that
and be like, what do you think is the best decision? And she's like, you're like, well, now I can't unsee the fact that slashing the tires is a bad idea.
But it's about reflecting, right? So that's a lot of what we do. I give homework to my clients all the time, and I say,
I've gotten homework.
I tell them, I say, journal, write about it, cry about it.
Yeah.
I'm also very different with therapy. The way that I do therapy, I try to be very relatable. So, because I'm young. Hello, I'm not gonna be like, my glasses and sitting on the chair.
I feel that. You know? Like, off the bat from talking to you, it's easy to talk to you.
I'm not gonna sit there and just like.
I'm glad you didn't come in like a suit or something.
I wore a little Golo thing to be a little professional, but I also wanted to like
hot therapist on our podcast.
I have a question about journaling. What is the theory about journaling and then burning it? Why is that a thing?
I've done that, not knowing
because you're letting go. So
yeah.
So journaling is something that you do when you have a lot on your mind. Yeah. Right. So you journal. You write it on a paper. You write maybe something that you did. Maybe you did cheat on your boyfriend or something, or maybe you did do something that you're not forgiving yourself about. So you write it and then you burn it, and then you're like, wow, I feel free. And I think that when you do things with intention, it makes a whole lot of a difference.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, I'm going to write down my feelings, like, fuck him, I'm going to slash his tires, or I slash his tires and I feel bad now. Oh my gosh, whatever.
I write about it.
No, but it's about forgiving yourself. Okay, I slashed his tires. I'm back home now and I feel really bad.
Right.
So I'm going to journal about it. Why did I do it? Mm-hmm. What happened step by step? And I'm going to forgive myself.
I think that's so important that you outline that right now, because I think my whole life I've been told to journal and not necessarily, I just had a moment of how to outline that journaling and how to process it. I have journals filled with like tears and wine stains on it, but it's kind of just like a shit show, you know, written in my sloppy
But sometimes that's
scratch.
what it is. Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes you just literally need to write those crazy thoughts that everybody's going to think you're crazy. Like I have journals all over. I have actually used my notes in my phone and I lock it with my face so no one can get into them.
Okay.
And I have journals and I write and I write and I write and I write when I'm sad. I write when I'm happy.
Yeah.
I write when I want to remember something. So, and I've gone back to my journals. Actually, I went back recently and I wrote it's not a poem. It's literally just what my thoughts were. It's about anxiety, and it's about anxiety coming in as waves. And when you wake up, it's like a crashing wave of hot flashes and like, what am I doing? Fidgeting and all that stuff. Dizziness, everything. And then like, you know, the wave goes away, and then, you know, you're alone again. It comes crashing back. And I've actually sent it to my friends, and I've said, is this relatable? And I'll be like, look what I just wrote, and I'll read it to them.
Like spitting bars here.
Yeah, I'm like, but yeah, so journaling is really good. It's really helpful. I use it. I love it. And going back to being relatable, I am my genuine self for my sessions. I'm my genuine self as a friend. I'm a genuine self as a family member. Yeah. That doesn't change.
That's super
awesome.
important.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I had a friend one time give me the advice, and I think that this could be helpful for anyone out there. If you are in a back and forth relationship where like you're on and off, and you are, or you're in an unhealthy, toxic relationship, every time you cry, every time you feel low self-worth, every time you finish a fight and you're like feeling empty inside, write those feelings out. And then when you feel like you want to go back to that person, and then when you feel like, you know, maybe we can give this another try, you reread those moments to remember how this person actually makes you feel. Because when you're done fighting, sometimes you always are like covering up for the person or saying like, no, it's not that big of a deal. And it's easy to forget. Yeah. Like you're like, flowers. Oh my God.
You guys, I was talking to, I called Carly the other day, yesterday morning, and I was telling her.
You call me every hour.
I call her every hour. But I was telling her, wow, Carly, I'm realizing more and more when I like reminisce on, you know, traumatic events in my life that I actually forgot them. I erased them, and my mind put something else there. So I was telling her about something really sad, and I was like, it's crazy. I only remembered going to a bakery. I didn't remember everything else that happened.
Why?
And yeah, and so it's the same thing in toxic relationships, and that's a great suggestion to, even in modern day, screenshotting a nasty message he sent you to remind yourself that this happened at one point and you felt really down and really sad about it.
Yeah, because otherwise sometimes you're getting mad at your friends and you're like, no, but you don't understand. And we're like, no, we do not understand.
Receipts.
That's the problem.
Here's a screenshot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. But then that's a great way to hold yourself accountable. And instead of, you know, having to rely so heavily on everyone else, you know, basically
adding it to your journal.
Yeah, and being in charge of your own emotions, which, by the way, also, I mean, we do have to be realistic that, you know, others are not always respectful of your property. So just putting it out there that it is not normal to have a partner who's constantly checking your device, and especially a journal.
Not respecting your property is
like, that's a whole nother podcast. So I don't want to like deep dive too into it. But like, if you do have a journal and someone's not respecting your privacy about that, your phone in general, any of those things, like that's a huge red flag for anyone listening right now.
I'm sorry, you're entitled to your privacy.
Of course.
Everybody, and that is a phrase that I've actually created a mantra for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I love
because being in being in toxic relationships and, you know, just being around people that are intrusive. Some people are just really intrusive, and, you know, I'm not pointing out anyone specifically, but just in general, you're entitled to your privacy.
Do you think
everybody?
Do you think it could be considered an addiction to want to check someone's phone?
Absolutely.
To talk yourself out of it.
I'd be like, don't check the phone. It's right there. Don't check it. You know the password. Don't check it.
When they're in the shower, you're like pacing back and forth, like, I'm not this person anymore.
What are these messages? Why is your phone ringing? I don't know why.
Who is mom? Why is she calling you?
But yeah, that's something that I always remind my clients, and I remind them, I'm human, you're human, we're human beings. And that's actually one of the things that I said to you, Carly, when I said it's human nature. It's natural. It's okay to be jealous. Toxic behaviors are toxic, but it's okay to have them, and it's okay to sometimes act on them, because maybe checking that phone was the only way of finding out that he was cheating on you.
For sure.
Maybe checking the phone was the only way to find out that something that maybe
you needed to do
share
that.
with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say that it's okay, because it's not okay. I don't condone it, and I don't advise it, because at the end of the day, if you're with a person that you feel like you have to check their phone, then you're with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You need to be with the person that you trust.
You know what? I can totally relate to that. And because I know that there's a lot of people out there who are feeling super guilty. So just so that you can, you know, like something to relate to, where I was actually in a relationship where, you know, like I think we all have been, where you think that this person is like this, golden ticket or, you know, this specific type of way, and you just have like this gut instinct and you constantly are feeling it over and over and over again, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna check it. And then it's the worst feeling in the world when you check it and you're just like, I was right, that there was like this complete alter ego of a human. Or when
the
you
side
see
that they didn't show you.
I think the worst out of all of that, besides another woman, is seeing how they talk about you to others when they're in an argument with you or something like that. And those things can be really hurtful and leave deep, deep, deep red scars in your heart. And I think that one of the best things, and Gabby, maybe you can help with some guidance towards this, would be if you are in a relationship with someone who you can't sit down and talk to and say, I'm having this feeling and I need to clear this out. Like either I'm honestly telling them I'd love, like I really would feel better if I could check your phone or something like that. And I don't know if that's like an okay thing to do, but I've been in a relationship before where I was like, I need to see your phone or I'm leaving because I'm fucking losing my mind.
I think,
you know, I don't know if that's something to do, or like what guidance to have when you get to the point where you feel like you're for sure, because you have to hear your gut. And there are times where I've done that and I was right about it and it fucking sucked. So how can you address your gut going, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
she's like, what you don't, you shouldn't be in that relationship.
Yeah, that's what I wanted
But
to say.
that's what I'm saying.
But
What
when
if you're in a perfect
there,
relationship and you're like, everything's going great? Like, I just have this weird feeling something's up.
I feel like communicating is key. And if you really feel this, well, rule number one, it would be that you shouldn't be with that person if you feel like you need to check their phone, even if they're perfect. Because if someone's perfect, you shouldn't feel like they have an alter ego.
Right.
Yeah.
But the number two thing would just be to communicate and just be like, listen, I feel really insecure. I don't know if it's a me thing or a you thing, but I would like to check your phone. Mm-hmm. And then if they're like, yeah, I have nothing to hide, and they show you the phone, okay.
And you're like, oh.
And then if they're like, no, that's where it becomes toxic. It's a very slippery slope. That's a really hard question to answer because
That's a great question though. I think a lot of people are either in situations right now like that or have been and still are like, what was the best way to go about this?
I actually think the best way to go about it, if you don't want to end the relationship and I feel like communicating like, hey, I need to see your phone, it's a little bit manipulative, and I hate to say it like that because it's like you're entitled to your privacy and everybody's entitled to privacy. So like, you know.
And there could be something that's like they're hiding from you that doesn't have anything to do with you, but
something that they're not ready to talk about, something that they're not maybe, you know. So I think the best thing to do in a situation like that is to sit down with them and literally tell them whatever your problem is. Be like, I think you have an alter ego and I think you're secretly doing these things and I don't trust you.
Right.
You're perfect. I love you. You're amazing. But I don't trust you. Yeah. And I doubt you. And then if the person is the right person, they're going to sit down and either say, hey, babe, like, you know,
let's figure this
out. If you want to look at my phone, you can. You know, they might even bring it up to show you, like, I'm not doing anything. Trust me, you know, or work towards communicating and stuff like that. So
it's so hard. Circling back to mental health, now that I've asked you about checking phones, what if you are kind of suspecting that you or your partner might have a mental illness that you're unaware of or they're unaware of? What's the best way to bring up
how do you go about that?
How do you go about that? Because what if you're like, I think my partner has this or something? What's a respectful and non-combative way to offer therapy?
I'm like cringing because it's hard. It's really hard because there is a stigma with mental health, and honestly, people don't go to psychiatrists because they're like, I don't want to go. I don't want to know and I've been there. I've totally been there where I'm like, I don't want to go to a psychiatrist because they're going to diagnose me with all these things, you know? But if you're suspecting it, I think it's really important. If you have a good communicating relationship with your significant other, I think it's important that you tell them, hey, I've been seeing these behaviors. I've been seeing these traits. I don't think you're necessarily bipolar or that you have anxiety or that you're borderline.
You're struggling.
But I see these traits and I see that you're struggling and I really want to help you help yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's where where it's a slippery slope again, because it's like not your mommy, it's not your therapist, it's not my job. You know, I'm here to applaud for you from afar.
I think that
that's also like a partner duty.
But I think that I think there's a misconception of partnerships and momming someone, right? Because I think it's like I said, I've been in a relationship for over 4 years now, and there's been times on both ends where we've both had to kind of put the other person's chin up and be like, hey, like, you got this. But then we have to step away from each other and let each other do it. And I think that we are a very healthy example of doing that. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It's not even easy telling your partner, hey, I'm noticing this behavior. I don't know where it's coming from. And then I think in the past, I would word it much worse than I do now, but kind of like, fix it or else, you know? And that's
and
not what you have
ultimatums.
to tell someone.
Yeah.
Ultimatums are a big one. You can express what your deal breaker is, and you can express what you want to express and what is a red flag or what is a deal breaker, but giving ultimatums, like, if you don't change, I'm gone. Like, change today, you know, and we've all been in
Also,
those.
by the way, I've never left and I've given those ultimatums.
That's the other thing. They're
Which
false.
is so toxic.
Talking a lot of
They're
shit.
so
Talking a
false.
lot of
I've
shit.
been in so many bad relationships, and I know your opinion, but yeah, that I've been like, I think it goes back to my own self-worth and self-respect, where I've been like, if you don't start treating me better, I'm gone, and I'm going to key your car and tell your mom everything.
And you're there like a year later posting on Instagram. So do you have techniques like or something to help the girls, the
Or
guys
identify
out there?
those red flags too,
Any
and
of
then
that.
cope
Yeah.
or leave.
What do we
or-
do, Gabby? What do we do?
Yeah, so
Help.
I don't give advice, but
That's right. That's
I'll
right.
guide you guys into the life.
So let's say I would
of
use an
healing.
old example of a relationship and that everyone can relate to is the toxic ultimatums, the fighting, the back and forth, possibly the person, your partner having mental illness that they haven't addressed, and just how do you identify those red flags, I guess, and then how do we leave and then cope with leaving?
I think that everybody is going to be in a toxic relationship until they're ready to leave. You know when you're ready.
I've always said that to all my
You're
friends.
going to know when you're ready. I've been in, unfortunately, not a handful of half of a
A
hand.
veteran.
Half of a hand in toxic relationships where I'm really scared to leave. And then, there is a moment where you're just like, no, like, I'm done. I'm leaving. And you pack your shit and you leave.
Yeah.
And that is when the healing process starts.
So
That's-
a lot of people, Gabby, would ask, well, most people go back to those relationships because they don't know what to do when they start feeling that pain.
Yeah, because we go to a nightclub
It's
after
comfort, guys.
for a night. And
It's
then
comfort.
Right. So
It's
how,
comfort.
what are ways that we can embrace the solitude and this
Oh,
next
that's
chapter of our
Look at
life?
those words you're using.
I own a dictionary.
I think, honestly, one thing about healing is to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, to be comfortable in, expressing yourself, having those hard conversations. Like, even if you're in a relationship that say you end a very toxic, a serious and toxic relationship, and then you meet somebody new not too long after, let's say like a few months later, like a week later, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just met this person. You're bringing that trauma into a new relationship.
That was always my style.
But it's okay. But honestly,
I'm
it
on a yacht.
happens. Honestly, it happens, and it's not bad. When we as human beings, we crave love, we crave attention, we crave,
So true.
but it's just it doesn't matter if you get into a relationship the day after you get out of a toxic relationship. It's really important that you communicate to your partner and that you tell your partner, hey, I was in a toxic relationship. I'm traumatized. I'm triggered. I have PTSD.
And
These
also
are the
get
things
help
that
for
bother
that.
me.
Like,
That's-
don't
yeah.
just tell
well,
your
that's-
partner.
I
Like,
think that's
go get help
but
because
that was
that's not fair to give that burden to
No,
someone.
But I will say that's my exact situation with my current boyfriend, and he was probably one of the biggest people that helped from a distance. He was like, "You got to take care of your own stuff, but I hear you and I see you." And that was the first time ever that usually my style was toxic relationship, jump into a new one, not let the new one person know I'm traumatized, not internally heal, and then I do it all over again.
Exactly.
And I think with my
Choo-choo.
yeah. And I think with my current boyfriend, I got out of the worst relationship in my life, and I was truly traumatized. I probably have PTSD, and which is not something I take lightly. I genuinely mean that.
Yeah.
But I vocalized that, and I did some internal healing, which I want to hear what that sounds like or looks like to you. But I vocalized it to my partner. I told him, I'm going through this. I want you to know, and he was there for me, but
Do your own
it's
homework.
your job.
It's your responsibility.
But
Yeah.
it takes one thing that I want to emphasize is being vulnerable. Being
Yeah.
vulnerable is really hard.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable is like literally just taking your clothes off and being naked and feeling really uncomfortable with your body and
It's-
just being
yeah.
like
It's being in
open.
a romper in a bar bathroom and taking off the romper
and peeing and popping a squat and
That
like
is-
not touching the
that is
toilet.
with a door that doesn't lock. There's no
holding
lock.
the door. Like you're
There's no
holding the
lock.
door.
looking like a slug.
That's what being vulnerable
And it's a
is.
unisex bathroom, so everyone's coming.
Everybody's seeing everything. So yeah, it's being vulnerable, and for real, because it's really hard, and it's not cool to be vulnerable.
It's not. And
Hello,
it's
how
scary.
many
It's scary
times
to
are you
hear people's reactions too?
Yeah, how many times are you talking to your friend, and like your friend is like, hey, yeah, I'm just like, I really care about him and I really like him and he's just so amazing and I'm simping and da-da-da. And I'm like, well, show him your feelings. And then they're like, no, fuck that. I'm not gonna show my feelings. I'm gonna get into a fight.
No way. What the fuck? Fuck that.
But how many times have we done that? I mean,
Yeah.
and I talk to my friends. I mean, some of my friends and anyone,
Yeah.
even myself, you know, it's just, you know, so the
Also,
healing. Yeah.
also, like all over TikTok is about building walls and keeping people out, which I'm terrible at. I've been in full relationships
Let
with
everyone
people.
in.
Yeah, where like my sister will tell them something. I'll be like, oh, I haven't told them about it yet. And she's like, it's been like a year, Carly. It's like 101.
that
Carly.
you build walls.
Yeah, but like I it's not that I don't bring it up, like I just don't talk about it, and I'm just like, if
That's
we
not healthy.
if we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. But then when we get to that bridge, I'm like, I want to go this way.
Yeah,
Close your
but
eyes,
it's also,
Never
but that also has a lot to do with the whole, you know, being vulnerable, being open, but that you're entitled to your privacy.
Of
If
course,
I don't
yeah.
want to
Yeah,
tell you
that's
something,
true.
Yeah.
like there's a difference between you doing something bad and being honest with your partner when it happens, and then there's a difference between you hiding something that you feel is kind of embarrassing, that you're not ready to be vulnerable about.
Yeah,
yet.
that
which
makes
which
sense.
by the way though is a red flag, because that means that for whatever reason you're not comfortable with talking to your partner about something that is like the part of what makes you, you know what I
Who
mean?
you are, yeah.
And it makes you who you are. So if you're not ready to talk about that moment with them, whatever, because it's only been a short amount of time, fine. But if you're with someone for 3 years and they still don't know pieces of your childhood, you might be scared to feel judged, or you might be scared. Like those feelings you should definitely feel, and something
explore
to
why you don't want to share it with
and
them.
explore it with your therapist, because it might not be a thing with your partner. It might be like
An
internal.
internal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely where we go back to childhood trauma and things that we suppress. The word for that, by the way, of not dealing with it is suppressing. Just make you use it next time.
Lisa, suppress it.
We suppress a lot.
Don't fucking do that.
Don't do that. Literally, it's such a joke.
We're not being
We're
suppressive.
so sorry,
We're
Gabby.
so sorry,
Wait,
Gabby.
but to go
It's
back,
okay.
because I really do want to leave on this note with what we can do to cope, what are healthy. Because
Yeah,
I
you
think
said journaling. What are some other?
Okay,
What
so
are other
coping.
examples? Yeah.
So I feel like what we were talking about right now is communicating. So
Yeah.
Go again.
she's beefing with the mic again.
Yeah, so communicating, setting healthy boundaries, guys. Like
Yes.
not checking phones and slashing tires.
Got you. Yeah.
You know, definitely
Carly, noted.
Got you.
Carly, don't grab the phone. Next time you want to grab the phone, think about me.
Yeah.
no
Okay. So wait, I did hear this one coping mechanism, and I think that this would be. I want to hear Gabby's opinion on it, and I want to know if this is just like
this
good
work?
advice, or like is this TikTok, or does this work? Okay. When you get the urge to check an account, when you get the urge to go message that person, right? That it's because it's like an addictive quality that's inside of you. So breaking that would be giving yourself 45 seconds. Go get a glass of water or something to distract you. And then when you come back to it, you might have already been able to process that's not a good idea, and I don't feel good when I do that.
That's so.
It's like sending a drunk text. You know, you want to send it in the moment, and you're like, I'm gonna send it. I know I'm gonna send this. I'm gonna talk about my feelings and everything. I'm gonna do it,
Don't do
and
it.
then
The
and
next
then you
morning,
do
you're like,
it.
Fuck.
Yeah, and then you do it, and you look back, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's
Have
like
you ever
that.
have you guys ever sent like a drunk picture and the next
Oh
morning
my
you're like,
gosh.
I wasn't even that cute.
God.
It's like a selfie. You have one eye open.
you're high on this rush.
You're
Yeah,
cracked
high on that
out,
rush.
like, and yeah, it's like a rush, and you're
controlling
like,
that.
I want to go. So yeah, taking a break, taking a deep breath, or replacing. Okay, one way of coping. This is we're gonna kill two birds with one stone. One way of coping is to replace negative thoughts with positive ones, and that's literally by sitting here and saying, I don't trust him. He's cheating on me, to saying, I trust him. He's not cheating on me. And this sounds horrible about like ignorance being bliss, but sometimes it's better that you don't know, and it's better that you don't look. If you're
Or
gonna
acknowledging the feelings and just leaving.
right, yeah, exactly. And if you're gonna feel a certain way like about it, you know, leave. But just always know, and like I said, I'm spiritual. I don't like to use karma too much because I think karma has a very negative
It makes these
stereotype.
men bald
But-
after you leave them.
Yeah, but it's
All
yeah,
these
it's
bottom
not
motherfuckers out here.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you know, you you're going to find out one way or another, because everybody deserves happiness. Everybody deserves to be loved.
That's so true. No. That's
Debatable.
beyond true.
Okay,
I do feel like everyone deserves to be loved, but not him. No, but
No, Carly, everybody deserves, say it with me. Everybody deserves to be loved.
Every person I love deserves to be loved.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so well, I'm gonna circle it in with I think being physically active is a great thing to do. Obviously, taking care of yourself, eating better, little tiny steps, boundaries. Also, just getting up and making your bed. There's even a book on it. There's an audio version, and it's called "Make Your Bed," and it is a strong book about the small activity of just waking up, making your bed, and starting your day on a happy, positive note. And then journaling.
I love that you gave us a more of a direction with journaling too.
Yeah, journaling was awesome. And now we've heard from Gabby even that there is a theory behind writing it all down and burning it.
Or putting it in a lantern, writing things down and like letting the lantern
I don't know, because if that lantern
if someone catches it and that shit didn't get burned.
Hey, don't write your name on it, guys. Anonymous.
XO Carly Dell.
It's crazy.
Oh my god, you guys! I think that's the best part to end this on. So not your buddy.
We're like trying to track the lantern.
Like, fuck it, you put a GPS in it, like tracking it, like where is this shit landing?
Just like come straight back down.
But yeah, I know we're gonna wrap it up, but just to end it on this good note, know when to leave, know when it's toxic. I feel like we all know toxic behaviors.
Yeah.
And really just, I am very big on empowering people and just honestly, like seriously, everybody, even if it's the meanest person, if they did the worst, like literally think of the worst experience you've had, everybody deserves to be loved, even that person. And I say that with a full, I know we have our reactions, but
have a convulsion.
but they do.
It's true. It's true.
You have to you have to empathize. Hello, guys. We're in a relationship. We have to empathize. We have to have empathy for people and care for people.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I do for a living. I care for people.
And always know that something better is coming. Whether it's a better version of you, whether it's a better version of like
better.
A bread.
It's a lesson or a blessing, right? Like we have that. It's a lesson or a blessing.
But it's true.
I love that it's a lesson or a blessing, guys.
And now we're gonna wrap up.
It's true. It's a lesson or a blessing, and I think that as long as you are always growing from the things that you were really bad about, it's good. Yeah. That's the one good step.
And you can grow together and apart too.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. You could grow together, grow like a tree, right? Separate branches.
I like that.
Or
really cute.
you can be two separate trees.
I like that too. Separately. I like space
in your own house. Like it should be like everybody gets their own home, and then like don't cross this line.
If you have branches in a tree, you're separated. So right, so like if there's like you could be the branch all the way on this side.
Yes, I like that.
And then they could be the branch over there, and you can still be together. You can still grow together.
Yeah,
friends, families, coworkers, relationships.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, I'm so happy.
So happy you slid into Carly's DMs and just. It's been so nice having you on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I was really happy bringing awareness to these things. It's really
we appreciate it so much.
And no heat to anyone, no heat to the person on your podcast before, and no heat to anybody.
Of course,
specifically. Never.
I think he loves it. He loves
it. I think he doesn't care.
Well, thanks guys for listening to another episode of Not Your Mommy. Signing off. This is Carly
and Lisa and
Bye,
Gabby.
And Gabby.
Bye, guys.
Bye.